Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Man, the demo shop and mod collection this week were actually pretty cool. Let's go ahead and go over the highlights. Alright, so this is what the shop looked like on Gibson's website, the mod collection, when it first updated this week on Wednesday. There's some pretty cool pieces that we need to talk about and a few leftovers. Let's just go ahead and start with the clickbait. Gibson. I think you've gone a little bit too far on this Firebird. Because initially, this guitar looked like this, a Firebird Custom. They don't have the banjo-style tuners that give you more straight string pull, but you've got the ebony fretboard, the binding on the top. It's not a neck-through construction like many Firebirds are. It's kind of like a blend between the non-reverse and the reverse Firebird specs all together in one. But this one, they did it up in a white finish and gave it a pretty nice pinstriping job. The red and black on that white finish is a really cool touch. And they've got the exposed bobbin pickups on here, and they swapped it out for a chrome hardware. But where things really start to get different is all down to the headstock here. I'm never going to be able to unsee this. Every single Firebird Custom can actually be converted to a 12-string. For some reason, I always thought a 12-string neck had to be specially crafted in order to hold all that tension, but apparently I'm wrong. All right, let's go ahead and make some sense out of this thing, what they did. So the original tuners on this guitar, I believe, were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They added 6 additional holes to this thing. So into the headstock, they drilled these 5 right here, and then there's another one over here. Like, I thought it was 6 and 6, but then when I actually started to count them, it's like, oh, only 5 is an 11 string? No, they just added another tuning spot right here. So yeah, apparently there's no qualms in doing this because they don't have any fancy veneers or different levels to the headstock on this style of Firebird headstock. And yeah, apparently you can just do this. They just slot the nut in different ways. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna stay in tune. That's a pretty extreme angle they've got going on right there. But as long as the nut's cut correctly, I guess it might not be a problem. The thing I find absolutely hilarious about this customization though is they erased the serial number by having to put more tuners on it. Because there you can see the beginning of custom shop, and then the number kind of like started right here, and you could just barely see some of the numbers right here. So they had to destroy the original serial number to do this, which I would not recommend unless you are the mod collection. Otherwise, people are gonna think you stole this guitar. So okay, I guess that's the one thing this thing has going for it as compared to, say, like buying a different Firebird Custom from the shop. Like here's one that they did a blue finish with a matching blue headstock. That's all they did different. But this thing is only $4,600. Whereas this bad boy is $2,000 more. That is quite a premium. Now granted, the pinstriping probably costs a bit extra to put on. And tuners do have a little bit of an expense as well as having somebody drill out a headstock and set it up for what it needs to be. But $2,000, that just seems a bit much. But if you erase the original serial numbers on the other ones, that's going to significantly hurt the value. So they've kind of got a catch-22 on this one as to why normal people wouldn't convert their other ones. Well, you would have the COA with the number, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing it. So I've been getting a lot of people asking me to buy this and document it, and that's initially what I thought I was going to do. But the price tag on this one, in order for me to document something out of the shop, I have to reasonably expect to be able to sell it for a little bit more to make it worth my time making the video, documenting it, sharing it with everybody. And this one, I could see this maybe, just maybe selling to the right collector, but asking more than $7,000, I just don't see it. So I'll leave that for an end user. I'm sorry if that disappoints you guys, but it is a very cool guitar. And I think the first 12-string Firebird I have ever seen. Like there's 12-string Les Pauls out there, and there's also SGs out there. So this was definitely the most inventive of the batch this week. These guys, I believe they were left over from last time, the old Hummingbird pickup covers. You had a couple of Les Paul Customs if you're interested in that, but then this thing. It's kind of funny, I just had a private help session of somebody who bought a Les Paul Studio from the demo shop, and they were asking me, is this the only USA guitar that you know of that's been reliced by them? And at that point in time, that was one of the only ones that I had seen, but there were other models like the Joan Jett Melody Makers that had some aging to them. But it seems like they're going to start to do this. Now to me, this looks like somebody was just being trained on how to age a guitar, it doesn't look that good in my opinion. They've got some areas on the neck. They did it on the front and on some of the edges. It's no Murphy Labs creation, but it was a good first attempt. I'm sure if I was going to age a guitar, it probably wouldn't look that much better. Then we have this cool 61 SG Standard, just in a cool blue finish, but this thing, oh my. Okay, so we were just talking about strange 12 strings, right? Now we get to talk about strange 7 strings. Now, unlike a 6-string to 12-string conversion, you can't just make a 6-string into a 7-string. I mean, you can, but your spacing is going to be very narrow. 12-string guitars, you can get away with it because you're supposed to play 2 strings at once. 7 strings aren't quite the same, so this is actually a real model. It originally probably would have looked like this, I'm guessing, unless they did modify it from a different guitar, but a 7-string Flying V has existed before. I actually do have a very old video on one of these things. But yet, looking at this, it almost looks like one of the high-performance spec guitars. Because you can see the HP knobs right there, the HP-style truss rod cover, but it's got the custom-style output jack plate, that diamond right there, and just a completely custom pickguard. And if you zoom in right there, oh my goodness, they put the battery cover on the edge, you know, like how the Carina Flying Vs have that rubber strip right there? But then they did the string through style just with ferrules instead of having that big gaudy V on it, probably because they didn't have one that had 7 strings on it. What is our serial number on this one? Well, it's from 2011. It looks like my old one was from 2012, so yeah, it probably started life like this. So that makes me question, why didn't they just reuse that? I guess it was just an artistic choice. It's probably because that was gold and they swapped it all out to chrome. But I'm sure they could have just stripped the gold plating off of it. But then you're going to look at the pickups. I don't know what pickups they put in there, but those are like what they use on their bass pickups. Like the new Thunderbird that just came out. So they've got that going. And then you get to the fretboard. This initially did not have any inlays. And looking at it from afar, I was like, oh, that's metal. But then I looked at it and it's like, oh no, that's not metal at all. Do you guys know what those are? That's the dove inlays that you find on the bridge. So they took something so peaceful and made it metal. It's like, I'm conflicted in that because I like it. I like it so much, especially the fact if you know where it comes from, it just makes it even funnier. The doves have gone metal. Man, I wish so badly I would have bought this one. I wasn't here this week because I do want to review another Gibson 7-string, and that is an absolute spanking job, guys. You probably could have got $3,500 on that guitar. So even though this was likely the most inventive of this week, that's probably the coolest thing in the mod collection. I mean, this 64 reissue is kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of the Alvin Lee signature, just having every pickup under the sun. I guess it's not that bad. They just added a middle P90 pickup, uncovered the bridge, but it just gives you that really strange kind of Alvin Lee-esque vibe. And then whoa. Excuse me, how many knobs do you need on this guitar? What is that? So we got custom buckers in here with 3 independent volumes and 2 tones. What? Why do you need that? I mean, I get the 3 independent volumes, that works for me, but I mean, the 2 tones for the neck and bridge, are they mixing the bridge and middle together? I mean, if you're gonna do it, you might as well just put another knob on there, right? I think what I would have done is replace the output jack with another knob as your other tone and then move the output to the side. That would have further made this an interesting guitar. And heck, while they're at it, they might as well throw a kill switch on the top bout. I really like that headstock. That's beautiful. But that thing sold at $4,500. And this green binding Les Paul Axcess was pretty cool, but the blackout vibe, I've seen these things before, but I really dig the headstock on that one. That's a cool guitar. Other than that, I mean, there's some nice player's grade stuff, but we need to talk about the demo shop. But just in case you're interested yet today, out of everything that was there on Wednesday, today's Thursday, you've only got 6 options. And that's your 2 Firebirds, kind of a cool looking 58 standard. That's actually a pretty good price on that. I don't see that lasting long. That's a historic reissue with a pretty nice top, and it doesn't look like anything majorly wrong with it. And then just some from last week. Okay, demo shop time. Even the demo shop pretty well knocked these things out of the park this week. Starting with this Hey, we've seen this finish before, Cobalt Burst, but I think last time it was on a studio, this time it's on a tribute, so it's a little bit different. They've got that uncovered bridge pickup. I think this would look really good with that zebra in the top as well. It kind of breaks up some of the monotony of the darkness, but I kind of like the dark finish of this. It reminds me of that 335, and I'm getting closer to my made-to-measure run of guitars of those. I'm going to do a couple of customs up like that. But where this one got interesting is the fact that it is a tribute. So the backs on these are naturally natural, and they have these maple necks, which makes them different from regular Les Pauls, but it gives them a lot of color variation. So this one, beautiful figuring on the mahogany back, not so much on the maple neck. The headstock's nothing too fancy either. They swapped out our tuner tips. But where things do get interesting is right here. You see what they did? You can still see the maple cap exposed on the edge. So that adds to all the different color variations that this thing has. So not only do you get that beautiful dark blue top burst, but you get some interesting stuff on the sides and the back. That is a cool guitar, and available at the time of recording for $15.99. So I think that's a $300 premium now over a brand new tribute after the price increases that you can learn about in this video. Next up, we've got this Les Paul Modern. I did not recognize this as a Les Paul Modern at first because this doofy long nose pick guard that you normally find on a 335, but yet that had to have been custom made for a Les Paul because generally those things are a lot bigger. I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. It's something completely different and references something else within Gibson history. It looks like we got different pickup covers on here with different pickup rings, different knobs. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I like what they're doing. They're experimenting here. And at a pretty good discount. Actually, an excellent discount now. It's $600 off now. The Les Paul Moderns are expensive. And then the big theme for this week within the demo shop is a bunch of HPs with nice tops. Like, this is a nice top. It's very 80s influenced. You've got that cross-hatched wood grain. I love that. Where the wood grain runs up and down, but the flame runs side to side. So this one's very pinstripey, but it just has a good look and a good color, and you've got that nice all-access heel joint that I love so much, with the slightly wider nut width on these guys. The next one that falls into that territory is this traditional. Now this one's full on 2015 specs, so you gotta decide for yourself if you like that. You don't get the Axcess heel carve, but it was pretty nice looking. But this thing, standard HP, like it's not quite as pinstripey, and it is way more heavily flamed than it has any right to be. This is a killer guitar. Somebody needs to buy it, as long as you like the HP specs. I mean, it's also got the all-access heel carve, the slightly wider nut width, but the titanium nut, those are actually pretty nice. And locking tuners on this one. And most of these high-performance guitars are coming with these giant hardshell cases. I think when those things were brand new, weren't they like $900 to buy separately? It was something crazy like that. But then this 50 Standard here, they swapped out our plastics on the pickup covers, which is kind of cool. Like, I like the black plastic gold tops, but yet they still have a little bit of the creaminess. They also swapped out the poker chip, but for me, this had nothing to do with the top. It was all about the back on this one. Not necessarily the craziest wood grain we've ever seen in the shop, but it's just nice. You could tell that would move in person. It's very dark with tight grain, even some cool mineral streaks in this one. I think that's definitely worth picking up for $2,000 if you're looking for one of these. You can always change the plastics back if you don't like it. And this 70s Deluxe, I mean, I didn't have too much to say about it other than I thought it looked nice. Same story with this 335 figured. I'm just enamored with the top of this. One-piece veneer is definitely a showstopper, but the big killer on this one, you flip it over to the back. It's nice, but it's not as good as the top. Next up, we have one of these peculiar SGs. So this likely started life as one of the CME exclusive ones, would be my guess, due to the inlays that are on it. But how are these things leaving the factory without pick guards? I don't understand that. No production level SG that I'm aware of does that. At least in current production. You could get them in within like the Derek Trucks SGs, but that was almost 10 years ago. But this one, they just kind of put like a Firebird teaspoon Vibrola arm on this one. And that's about all that's special. We've got a two-faced guitar back here. Then this double cut special. I initially did not like double cuts all that much, but now that I've documented so many of them, and after my fantastic experience with the La Tosca exclusive guitar, that you can check out the review here if you missed it, These things are so historically significant, not just because of Gibson history. It's like they influenced so many other manufacturers at the same time. But the other thing I wanted to tell you about these guys are the new ones. It's the case. You see this case? What they've done is those old crappy, essentially cardboard cases that just have that faux alligator skin vibe to them. They've remade them in custom shop lift-in style reissues. Now, this isn't a very good photo. They just have that same vibe. They're such a cool case. I wish they would also make them for Les Pauls. That's how cool they are. But they've got that brown interior. Kind of reminds me of one of those Artist Series Gibson cases from the 70s. But to wrap up tonight's episode, let's look at what sold on the demo shop. Since I'm reporting on this very quickly after these were updated, these are all the coolest ones. So this one, I just thought kind of interesting to see a Pelham Blue SG Standard. You don't find that too often. Well, at least not in modern production, so this is likely an older one. I can't quite make out the serial number, but they swapped it out to gold hardware and kind of mix-matched some stuff up there. Not the coolest, but still pretty nice at $14.99, from Gibson anyways. But then this thing, right when the shop updated, I had a UPS delivery, so I missed it. I want to so badly try one of these guitars from the demo shop that have these toaster pastry P90s. Because I can't wrap my mind around them, and nobody sent me any photos. Are they just smaller than normal P90s? Because generally, aren't P90s the same size as a mini humbucker? So I don't understand how they can have a mini humbucker ring over top of them. And I'm curious how they sound. But the other cool thing about this SG Special, besides they swapped out the pickups for those, is they added one of the Vibrola arms on it. And you see that? I'm pretty sure that is one of those conversion plates like we saw on the Brian Ray SG Jr. You can check that video out here. So I'm thinking, just maybe, you could actually convert this back to the rat tail piece and then just have this cool Vibrola on it, and you don't actually have to use it and worry about tuning stability. I probably would have bought that guitar had I been there. I mean, it's $14.99, so it was actually even a slight discount in comparison to modern day pricing. Man, these guys are getting crazy with their names. Cream cheese frosted toaster pastry P90s. Get out of here with your goofy names. I love it. I don't like cream cheese though. And then this traditional Pro, it's blueberry burst, so it's cool, right? You got the white knobs, the white pick guard, but hey, whoa. So we've had colored pickup rings for a while now, but two-toned? Call Johnny up. That thing looks good. But I'm curious, did it come from the manufacturer like that, or did they paint it after the fact? Something tells me we're going to see a lot more two-toned pickup rings. But it kind of works for this model because it's naturally kind of two-toned anyways. It's more of a faded finish. So a lot of purple here, none down here. And yeah, they swapped out our truss rod cover. Then they had a Les Paul special with some of those pastry pickups in here. Oh, but these are just cream toaster style P90s. They're not cream cheese. But this one almost looks like they have the metal surrounds. Okay. I probably wouldn't have bought this one just because we've documented so many Les Paul specials lately, like the really cool Berries and Cream. That one found a new home, and we had the School of Rock not too long ago as well. But last and certainly not least, this might have been the coolest thing in the demo shop this week. So we've got a Les Paul Studio in what they call Cobalt Fusion top that sold for $1,899. This reminds me a lot of the Studio Swirls. Those were done up to commemorate the Nashville floods, the most recent ones, where they kind of had an interesting top, and some of them can kind of look like this. Like they generally have like a cloudy appearance to them, but this one, it reminds me of space or something, or just like bubbles in the ocean. I don't know. It's just kind of cool how they've got like a gold hue and then like a lighter blue and a darker blue. Whoever got this, congratulations. That is a beautiful Les Paul Studio. I like it when studios get a little bit artsy because they're such great players, but for my collector mindset, I always enjoy something just a little bit special on them. That's why I like the ebony fretboard ones. I'm such a big fan of those, and custom limited edition finishes. So that's nice. I would like to see more of that from the demo shop and mod collection. All right, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed this week's recap. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for daily guitar content, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.